What's going on, guys? It's Mike. I am currently in South Africa, in Greyton, a small village in the Western Cape. My wife and I are on a little vacation visiting her family. And I want to take a moment and respond to some of the comments on a recent video. I posted a video a few days ago about the problem with the job market in the US, especially for young people, the low quality of jobs. I had some interesting comments from younger people, and I just want to take a moment to maybe reflect and respond to some of those comments. There's a common thread. People look to solve the job problem. They look and say, well, gee, these jobs stink. How do we fix it? A lot of folks will immediately start blaming capitalism, etc. We'll go this way. Start blaming capitalism, and if we could just collectivize and unionize, get rid of capitalism and companies and so on, things would be better. I get it. I totally get it, because the worker feels powerless. I'm not a Marxist, I'm not a socialist, but I totally understand this frustration of the worker saying, I'm just this small cog and I don't have any power. I don't have any way to kind of push back or fight for myself. And the instinct then is to collectivize. And Hilaire Belloc in his Servile State talks about this, that capitalism leads to this worker that feels isolated, powerless, and rather than collectivize as a union, they turn to the state and say, well, we need protection. And the state jumps in and says, sure, but in doing that, you lose your freedom as an individual. Anyway, the one thing I want to point out about collectivism is that it makes a certain assumption. And that assumption is that there's a difference between workers and management. It kind of assumes that there's some intrinsic difference between the people. Somehow that workers are virtuous and management, is just intrinsically bad, intrinsically selfish. It misunderstands human nature. People that are workers are no more virtuous, no more better as human beings necessarily than people that are managers. But collectivization assumes that if you bring these workers together, they'll somehow come up with solutions that are good. Kind of related to that is this idea that the relationship between management, owners, and the workers has to be hostile, that it's intrinsically oppositional, and that the only way to get what's good for you and what's right is to fight. So my assumption is that these two things aren't necessarily true. They don't have to be true. They often are, but they don't have to be. And at the risk of sounding like I'm promoting some 1800s economic theory, some thinkers have come up with things like Distributism that has essentially addressed this and said, hey, there's a way to align the interests between capital and management. And if you can do this, if you can align those interests, then what you find is everybody's happy. Well, what does that look like? Well, there are companies in the world. Mondragon is one of them in Spain, massive corporation, where the workers, along with management and owners, have shares. They have, material, economic interest in the company. They own shares, and they get to vote. They don't get to control everything. They don't get to dictate everything like some, socialist experiment, but they get a vote. And so together, the workers and the owners and the management have shared interest, responsibility, and power in the company, and together they make decisions that are good. And lo and behold, they together make really good decisions to the point where this company has, I think, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 employees, all kinds of divisions, etc. I mean, it does very well. So although I understand the allure of collectivism, I'm, I guess, cynical about human nature. I don't think there's anything intrinsically different between the humans that are management and the humans that are workers. I respect the need of workers to get some type of leverage or power, but I don't think there's a difference. And I think approaching the management owner slash employee worker relationship as necessarily hostile, was what a union does, is unfortunate and counterproductive. I think there's a better way. It doesn't always work, I understand. We're talking ideas here, not so much, what one size fits all. But I think concepts like distributism are worth investigation. They're worth experimenting with to see, can we build something better where everybody's interests are aligned, and where ultimately the market, the consumer, the worker, the owners, everybody wins. I think that's possible. Is it easy? No, but I think it's possible. So I'd like to know what you think down in the comments below. Cheers.